Welcome to another episode of You Are Limitless. I'm your host, Madam Chiko, and thank you for joining me on another episode. I am always excited about getting into our vortex, raising our vibration, and discovering more of who we truly are. This has just been such an amazing journey. I am so grateful for you guys, and I'm also happy that my story resonated with you. I've been getting a lot of feedback, and it has just been such an incredible amount of support and love. So thank you for that as well. So much gratitude to be had. And if you haven't watched the episode where I share a little bit of my story, go watch it. It is such an incredible episode. You don't want to miss it. Today, we're going to quickly talk about radical self-acceptance, what that means, what it looks like, and what it looks like when we don't accept ourselves in full, regardless of anything you may or may not have done in the past or aspects we don't like about ourselves, and how non-acceptance leads to suffering in silence or out loud, suffering in terms of developing those blocks, suffering in terms of developing that negative self-talk, suffering in terms of shutting out and compartmentalizing who you truly are and being afraid to express that. Radical self-acceptance does not mean that you justify behaviors that you yourself do not prefer to have by disguising it as self-love and, well, I accept all of me. No, that is not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about radical self-acceptance. The idea is to accept all of you as you are in this moment, and then the next moment, and then the next moment, and then yada yada, right? And see where you could take action to better yourself or life situations, because when we try to deny parts of ourselves, there are many repercussions that come with self-denial. For one thing, we essentially delay the lessons, teachings, and growth that can be had with those denied parts, right? When we're stuffing parts down that we don't like about ourselves. Maybe we feel afraid to express ourselves to people, or maybe we feel like what we're doing in life isn't good enough, that we should be doing more. Or maybe it's something with our identity that we don't really like, or maybe it's something physical that we don't like about the way we look, or what have you. And so we start to deny ourselves. Maybe we have become attached to our image on social media, that that's all we think that we are, and anything else is just unacceptable. This is what happens when we deny parts of ourselves. I mean, it creates those blockages, it creates ailments in the body, it creates mental and emotional pain, spiritual depletion. We can become easily triggered in a relationship if we're reminded of the insecurities and the portions of ourselves that we have compartmentalized. And then, of course, that is where an example of projection can come into play when you are in an intimate relationship and there are parts of you that you have denied, that you do not like, that you're insecure about, and then you start to project that onto your partner, whether it's coming from them or not, right? We stir up guilt and shame as well. And these two emotions just do not serve us in any way, shape, or form. And if you guys want an episode on guilt and shame and the difference between them and why I think that both are not helpful in righting wrongs, quote unquote, so to speak, you already know what to do. DM me, reach out, because I am more than happy to talk about this. Also, with self-denial, whether in part or just as an absolute rejection of who we are, right? We tend to see those flaws in other people, whether they have those flaws or not. And in turn, we start to pass judgments on them. We start to project what we don't like about us onto other people. And it's hard to grow when you enter that zone of judgment. It's really hard to be able to see that maybe it is me that is projecting. I want to give you guys a little example on this idea of projection and what it means when we are projecting our own insecurities, our own reality, and our own perception of ourselves onto other people or onto life events or life situations. So picture in your mind, I'm a visual learner, so I like to make pictures, but picture in your mind 3 tunnels. In these tunnels, we can label them positive, negative, and neutral. Okay, and then let me give you an example. There's just some random example, but now imagine that you're denying parts of yourself with the negative belief of, I am a terrible mother. Just an example. What could happen then is that when you see any other mother, say at the park, who is being extremely attentive to their kids, you may look at her with disgust, not really wanting to, but doing so anyways, because what is happening here is, and remember the tunnels, okay? Your thoughts are being filtered through the negative tunnel. And so you start to see this mother at the park as negative. When you are in this state, it can be difficult to find ways to soothe yourself or even see why you have the belief of not being a great mother. But when you are filtering your beliefs about that same woman at the park, we're still using the example, still doing the same thing with being attentive to her kids through the positive tunnel by incorporating different beliefs that can overpower the negative ones, you start to attract a more positive outlook on the lady and others around you. You feel better. You start to look at the lady and watch what she is doing, because then she becomes your teacher. Remember what I said? Everything is a teacher. Everything is a teaching mechanism. You're more receptive. Even filtering your thoughts through that neutral tunnel is just as positive as filtering it through the positive tunnel, because neutrality offers clarity with the ability to see everything from a detached point of view and validating everything regardless of any belief or judgments or thoughts or emotions. Accepting ourselves for who we are includes accepting everything about us physically, mentally, spiritually, regardless of anything, whether it be positive perceptions of us or negative perception of ourselves, regardless of what kind of car we drive, what we do for a living, whether we are doing well or not doing so high. It is accepting ourselves as we are with the knowing that we are loved and that it is safe to be who you are. And also that if you don't like parts of yourself, it's not a life sentence that you must remain in that vibration, that you must remain in a state that you don't like. It's that opportunity to be able to change course, change directions, take a new path, create that path. And you know what? I already know, like, I'm going to hear it. But Chiko, I don't like my body. But Chiko, I don't like that I overreact. But Chiko, I don't think it's ladylike to say how I feel. But Chiko, I don't like this. I don't like that. And you want me to accept it? Yes. Okay. Because not liking something, guess what that means? That means that you have an awareness of it. And the fact that you are aware of it, that's a powerful place to be. Okay. That awareness means that you can depower that thought. That awareness means that at least you were off autopilot, okay? And so the fact that you have awareness to it, yes, absolutely. Pat yourself on the back for that, because that means that you can take steps in growing in those departments in which you don't like, right? I'm not saying that you have to go on some vigorous, weird exercise workout regime at all, but you can take steps to make yourself feel better whenever you are aware of what is causing the dissonance. It's backtracking back into those beliefs. There's this belief of blah, 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 blah. And so once we start backtracking and we can figure out where the beliefs are coming from, where the insecurities are coming from, and why we feel the need to reject ourselves, deny ourselves, compartmentalize ourselves, it's a powerful place to be. But when you are aware of the discontent and then you stay in the place of discontent, and what discontent can look like is it can look like sadness, depression, anxiety, functional freeze, which we'll talk about that some other time. It's a wonderful term I just learned. And also look like complaining a lot, just complaining about everything, always having problems. There's always something wrong. And just feeling out of alignment, feeling out of whack, feeling fatigue, but still not going to take action on that awareness of what it is we don't like about ourselves, what it is that we are rejecting. This is unproductive. This is not helpful, because now you have this awareness of discontentment, but then you're not doing anything to alleviate that pain through means that are positive, right? We may temporarily alleviate the pain through substance use. And I don't have anything against substances that are natural, that are grown from the earth, that are spiritually enlightening. So let me just put that out there. I have nothing against that. However, even with substances that I do find to be acceptable, and this is just in my opinion, and no, I am not saying to go do drugs, but even with those, you can abuse anything. And so when it becomes a crutch to where can't live without it or seemingly can't live without it, then this is what I'm talking about in terms of trying to fill that hole where the self-acceptance is missing. We start to outsource less than healthy ways to feel better. And this could be through alcohol, through meaningless sex. And when I'm talking about meaningless sex, I simply mean sex that produces negative feelings during or afterward, plain and simple. Or engaging in sex that is essentially distracting us from the denied parts of ourselves. And this is through swiping and swiping and swiping on the dating apps, just looking for some type of outside validation, looking for some way to feel accepted, because we are not offering ourselves that validation that is much more powerful than anything that any external event, person, idea can offer. But most of us aren't taught how to validate ourselves because we grow up to believe that parts of ourselves should be hidden away. We shouldn't express some of ourselves. And especially in childhood, when we are compared against our siblings or we are wanting to fit in school and whatnot, we may stuff down parts of ourselves to be able to not get kicked out of the family, not get kicked out of the group. And this is something that's kind of built into our biology in terms of it being a survival mechanism, this idea of conforming. Because back in the day when we were hunters and gatherers and whatnot, it was really important to stay with the clan because it ensured a greater possibility of surviving. And so it was a good thing that you compartmentalized if it meant survival. If you were ever told that you were bad, or if you were made fun of for being weird, or let's say you shared your previous girlfriend something about you that you don't normally share with people, you don't normally share this part of you, and she rejected you because of that. This could all turn into that self-denial in order to protect the self from the social rejection, the emotional pain, and the bruised ego. But we're in the day of age where it is time for us to be who we are, right? And so we can override some of these natural biological radars that we have. But isn't it like good to know that some of these factors that we deal with, they're biological. And so we can all relate to that. And there's compassion that we can have for others. And there's compassion that we can have for ourselves because we're just all out here living life and trying to survive and we're doing our best. And that's really all that we can do. So what are some ways that we can incorporate more of that radical self-acceptance and not that boo-boo shit, that mainstream radical self-acceptance and not changing a damn thing about ourselves? Because we can always improve. There's always room to grow. And we don't have to accept our own BS. So a few tips for radical self-acceptance. First, we gotta accept where we are at without judgment. And what that looks like is this, for example, I accept that I am not happy today and that's okay. What judgment would look like is I should be happy today, so why the F am I not happy? And that would actually make you feel even worse, right? Accepting it as it is gives it less power because when you are throwing judgment on it, you're throwing more attention on it, and in turn, you're compounding that negativity. Another thing I would suggest is to take a break from scrolling. Take some time out, even if it's just 5 minutes, to do some breathing and try sitting still. Put on some relaxing music, meditation music, lo-fi even. There are plenty out there on YouTube that you can find, but take a break and really feel your own vitality and love. It's incredible what 5 minutes of self-reflection and stillness can do. This technique will help soothe you as well, especially if you are literally in the midst of judgment. You have to find a way to thought interrupt, right? Thought interrupting through meditation, through breathing is so helpful. The last thing I'm going to suggest is to find an activity that will make you feel better, something you love to do, whether you're good at it or not. Just do something, anything that brings you into the present moment, whether it is going for a walk, drawing, skateboarding, whatever it will be that will put you in the present moment. If you're watching something, watch something that is productive and not mind-numbing. It could be about something you want to learn. Maybe it could be research on the topic of self-acceptance or how to build a cabin or anything. Be creative. This is all about you stepping into your power and feeling your limitlessness. And these tools will help you, especially if you are consistent enough at it, because that's law. That's a law of attraction. The more attention that you bring to the things that you prefer, you will attract that into your experience. That is a universal law. So thank you guys so much for letting me share my ideas on radical self-acceptance, what it means, what self-denial looks like, and how to transmute some of that into something more positive, into something that is more in alignment with who we are, because we want to feel our power. We have that innate power to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And the goal is to let go of those negative conditionings and beliefs that do not serve us anymore. So next week, we're going to be at it. I am very grateful, so grateful to have you guys with me on my journey and having me a part of your journey. I've been getting a lot of questions about how to work with me in my spiritual coaching and the YALL coaching, the You Are LimitLess one-on-one coaching. I do have a few spots available. So if you go to the show notes, you will see links where you can fill out the form and we can schedule a consultation if you would like to work with me. So DM me if you have any questions. All the information to contact me is in the show notes. Always check the show notes. And remember, guys, you are limitless. We are raising our vibration. We're getting into alignment with who we are. we are no longer denying who we are, and we're no longer denying parts of ourselves. We're going to love all of us and change what we don't like so that we can show up as the truest version of ourselves. Thank you so much. As always, you are loved, and there's nothing anyone can say or do to take that away, no matter what. So much love and blessings to you. And see y'all next time on You Are Limitless, y'all.